Okay, fine. Welcome to all of you. This is Vinay before you. Today in this video, we are going to discuss about a topic called as figures of speeches in the English language. Figures of speech in the English language. They are also mixed with literary devices. These figures of speeches are also mingled with the literary devices. Those are here I have displayed prologue, paradox, farce, and monologue. These are the literary devices and the figures of speeches in the English language. So we have discussed so many figures of speeches in our previous videos, but here we are going to discuss about the remaining figures of speeches which we haven't discussed yet. Those are, I have sorted only 4 among them. Those are farce, monologue, paradox, and prologue. So what are the difference between all those, and what are the definitions of all those, where to use, that I am going to, with their proper instances, I am going to teach you in this video as being a friend of you. So please, if you haven't did subscribe to it yet, then do subscribe to it to get further more updates of mine ahead. So like that, innovative and incentive and instructive videos I will be bringing ahead. So you have to wait and watch. Now without spending more time, without delaying, let us jump into the topic. I'm going to take a great plunge into the topic. So before that, I want to clarify to you people, to the viewers, that I hope that you are listening to me carefully, and I hope this audio is also audible, and this display is also clear to you people, with the hope that I will continue. So here we are going to discuss about the topic figures of speeches in the English language. I have mentioned here the date and day, and here farce, monologue, paradox, and prologue. I have given here few examples of all related to all these figures of speeches. Those are the Turning of Shrew by William Shakespeare. This is the short form W and S I have written here just because of the lack of space. So the Taming of Shrew. This is an example of farce. Farce is a comedy that is also called as the literary device, and farce is nothing but which used to mock on the real life, on the reality, which used to mock on the real life, that's we call farce, and which used to evoke the laughter, or used to exaggerate or add extravagant on the real life, or used to mock, which evokes the laughter and humor, that's we call the literary device farce, or this is also called as the farce comedy. And this is an example of figures of speech and also an example of literary device in the English literature. So here we have discussed the definition of farce, and here is the example related to that one is the Taming of Shrew by William Shakespeare. So you can read it, and you can search on the Google, just you can Google it as the example of farce, then you will get there so many instances regarding that farce comedy. So now I will move further into or with the topic with an example of figures of speech called monologue. Monologue, which is also an means renowned figures of speech, that is monologue, which is also called as a literary device as well. So that we call monologue. Monologue is nothing but we can subdivide both the words in mono and logue. Okay, mono means single and logue means dialogue. Monologue means a single dialogue. Here in monologue we have three subtypes. Those are soliloquy, okay, soliloquy, and dramatic monologue and internal monologue. Here I have given the examples like okay, this is the prologue, this is the paradox, and here I have given 3 examples of individuals like soliloquy. This is the soliloquy, and this is the dramatic monologue, and this is an example of internal monologue. What are these soliloquy and dramatic monologue, and the last one is internal monologue? These all are the subtypes of monologue. What are these? Expressing the thoughts aloud. Okay, expressing the thoughts aloud by the speaker alone on the dais, alone on the stage. That's we call soliloquy. Means conveying a message, expressing the thoughts aloud on the dais, sharing his thoughts aloud with the audience, but here they mentioned in the Google that expressing thoughts aloud by the speaker on this dais while being alone. That's we call soliloquy, and that is an example of, that is the subdivision of monologue. And here the second one is a dialogue to another character, means this is which conveying us, that means which is giving us the hint of remembering the dramatic monologue. Dramatic monologue, which is also a subdivided branch of monologue, that is called as dramatic monologue. And here is the definition of that one: the dialogue conveyed by a character to the another character in the drama, that's we call the dramatic monologue. And here is this last one, that is also an example of monologue, that is internal monologue, conveying thoughts internally. Who conveys? The speaker who conveys thoughts internally to the audience, but that thought of internal monologue of the speaker, which will be understood by only the psychologists, not like we the common people, because internal, what he is thinking, he knows only himself, but we didn't catch that, or we will not catch that. So that's we call the internal monologue, that which conveys the thoughts internally, he is called as the internal monologue. That's we call the last sub branch of monologue. And here this is the time to understand what is called as the paradox. Paradox is nothing but framing the sentences with the use of two contradictory words that will be absurd and that will be little meaningless, but when you use according to the situations, according to the scenario, when you insert that into a circumstance, then you will understand how the paradox is playing the important role or vital role in the English language. So paradox is also one among them which are very interesting and instructive figures of speeches. Those are paradox. Paradox is also one among them. So this is also the best example of that is what is paradox, like beginning of the end. Okay, this is beginning of the end. Here, beginning of an end. Okay, means here you are seeing beginning and end. Both are the contradictory words. We framed with the using of two contradictory words the sentence, but that is conveying actually the message. Okay, that is also conveying a meaning. But when you put that into a situation, in a scenario, you will understand the meaning. You can understand the what importance of paradox. So here is an example: the beginning of the end, means in Hindi we call as सर्वनाश का अंत. Okay, sorry, सर्वनाश का प्रारंभ. Okay, sarvanash, praram, both are the contradictory words but are conveying the messages. Okay, so those are giving the sense, so you can use them in the scenarios. So that is the what khasiyat of our figures of speech in English language. So the another one example I want to give you about or regarding the paradox, that is you can earn money by spending it. Okay, you can earn money by spending it. There are also two contradictory words, but what is, when we can use that sentence, please you can DM me or comment me and convey me where to use that one. Okay, now I will move on it. That is prologue. Prologue is nothing but an introduction. Okay, prologue is nothing but an introduction, preamble, or the preface or the foreword. That we call the prologue. Prologue is nothing but especially the introduction or introduction of a particular piece of writing. That we call the prologue. Okay, the best example of prologue is the preamble of the Indian Constitution. Okay, the introduction of the Indian Constitution, that we call the preamble of the Indian Constitution. That we call prologue. Okay, prologue is nothing but a piece of writing. Okay, the brief writing, that we call the summary. Okay, the summary which is conveyed in a very little paragraph, a short, in a very little thought or message, that which conveys, that will unveil the whole cinema or the scenario of the further writings. Okay, that's we call the prologue. So you can use that one also in your day-to-day life, that we call prologue instead of using the introduction. So that's we call the prologue. You can use there are so many examples, but I haven't given here the examples. You can find on your own, then you will understand what is the use of prologue. Okay, so now I will stop here, but before that I wanna tell you that why I am using like that changing accents in the English language. Here in this video I will clarify that we are using, or I am using especially the change of accents in my videos, just because that is not the change of accent. Instead of that, here I will clarify that these are the phonetic languages. Okay, these are the phonetic languages. For example, here is thank you. Okay, thank you. We people say it as thank you, but that is not like that. You have to silent these both letters, T and H. Only to the listener that should be listened like thank you. Okay, thank you. That should be listened like thank you. That these both words of starting letters should be silent. Okay, that's we call the phonetic language. But what we are using, if we use without minding phonetic language, then that language will be called as colloquial, and that will look like awkward and absurd. So you have to use according to phonetic language. So another one example is also there. You have to use this thank you word henceforth or as of now, like the pronunciation called pronunciation. Okay, not pronunciation, that is the pronunciation. I have already clarified in my short video. I will convey that, or I will send that link, or I will display that link in this video's description, so you can go and watch that one. That is the pronunciation, not pronunciation. So here henceforth you have to use, or as of now you have to use the word thank you as thank you. Okay, thank you, like that. And another one example of phonetic language that I have to convey in this video, in this end of this video, in this end part of this video, I will convey. The second example is plumber. Okay, plumber, but this is not plumber, this is plumber. This is plumber, not plumber. We are misguiding as well. That is not your mistake. Okay, that is not your mistake, that is the mistake of your teachers, of our teachers as well. So we have to use according to the phonetic language, and then that will be easier to understand. But what we people are means what we people practice, that we are using. Okay, that's not the correct English. We have to rectify ourselves, we have to amend ourselves, and we have to implement them. Okay, thank you so much for listening carefully. And if you thought that I am tormenting you, then you can unsubscribe to this YouTube channel. That's all. Thank you so much.